Hello student, I am going to continue from the last video. We are discussing about WPS, work breakdown structure. So in the last slide or last video, we have discussed this slide, how we can draw the WPS. Now we'll go through what is the uses for the WPS and other aspects of WPS. Mm, Thought process tool. The WPS is a design and planning tool, so it can be termed as also a thought process tool. It helps the project manager and the project team visualize exactly how the work of the project can be defined and managed effectively. Also, it provides architectural design tool. So WPS is a picture of the work of the project and how the items of work are related to one another. Next, that is in case of planning tool, in the planning phase, WPS gives the project team a detailed representation of the project as a collection of activities that must be completed in order for the project to be completed. It is at the lowest activity level of WPS that we will estimate effort, elapsed time, and resource requirements. Also build a schedule of the when the work will be completed and estimate deliverable dates and project completion. So as a whole, we can completely plan about our project having that WPS diagram. And also it can provide project status reporting tool. WPS is used as structure for reporting project status. The project activities are consolidated from the bottom as lower level activities are completed. The completion of lower level activities cause higher level activities to be partially completed. Therefore, WPS defines milestone events that can be reported to senior management and to the customers. So obviously having the milestones and having the proper hierarchical design, and if you complete any bottom level and lower level or lowest level activities, then you can partially or completely done the higher level or above level activities, and in that way you can directly report to the higher authority or the senior management or the customer that how much of your work has been done. Sixth criteria to test for completeness in the WPS. The WPS developed as part of a joint planning session, which has been like Z means joint planning session or discussion. So WPS developed as a part of a joint planning session. But how do you know that you have done this right? So you need to understand the point. Each activity must possess 6 characteristics to be considered complete, that is completely decomposed. So the 6 characteristics which will test the completeness of the WPS or in the WPS. So first, these 6 characteristics or these 6 criteria are like status or completion is measurable, which should be status or completion of any activity or any task should be measurable. Start or end events are clearly defined. You need to define start and end events clearly in the WPS. And also activity has a deliverable, and every activity should have a need to have a deliverable, which might be as a product or which might be as a part of the product. Time cost is easily estimated. So time or cost can be and will be and need to be easily estimated. Activity duration is within acceptable limits. So while you design the WPS, you need to provide the duration or the timeline should be in such a way that it should be within a acceptable time limits. And also in the 6th point that you can see, work assignments are independent, means no two suppose one worker cannot work in two activities, so that work assignments for users or for workers or for the persons who are involved in those activities should be independent of the activities. So let us review all these things in detail. So first, measurable status means the project manager can ask for a status of an activity at any point in time during the project. So if the activity has been defined properly, that question is answered easily. For example, a system's documentation is estimated to be about 300 pages long and requires approximately 4 months of full-time work to write. So here is a possible report that a developer can provide regarding the status that I have written 150 pages, so I guess I am 50% complete. So that is the point. Point is that how much you have written. Suppose you need to do 300 pages of writing, but you have completed 150 pages, then you can directly say that you have completed 50% of the job or the task. So that is measurable. So anything in this WBS which is measurable and should be measurable. So because measurable, and it is need to be measurable, because anybody in that project involved person can ask you about the status of the project or status of your assigned task. And also it can be bounded. Each activity should have a clearly defined start and end event. Once the start event has occurred, work can begin on the activity. And also the deliverable is most likely the end event that signals work is closed on the activity. For example, using the systems documentation example, the start event might be notification to the team member who will manage the creation of the system documentation that the final acceptance test of the systems are complete. The end event would be notifications to the project manager that the customers has approved the system documentation. So if you are going to produce the system documentation as a work, as a task, then that acceptance test, final acceptance test will be like the start event, or start event might be the notification to the test team member who will manage the creation of the system documentation that the final acceptance test of the systems are complete. So when that thing is done, then only you can start this event of writing that system documentation. And the event would be notification to the project manager that the customer has approved the system documentation. So whenever the system document is approved by the user, then only your process or your task will be ended. Then only you can say that your event has been ended. Third one is deliverable. The result of the completing the work that makes up the activity is production of a very deliverable. So result of completing the work that makes up the activity is the production of a deliverable. The deliverable is a visible sign that activity is complete. So this could be an approving manager's signature, so a physical product or document. So it might be anything. It might be a physical product, it might be document, it might be software, it might be anything, but it should be in a form of deliverable. So for any activity there should be a deliverable. And next one is cost or time estimation or estimate. Each activity should have an estimated time and cost of completion. So being able to do this at the lowest level of decomposition in WBS allows you to aggregate to higher levels and the total project cost and the completion date. So lowest level of decomposition in the WBS allows you to aggregate to higher levels and the total project cost and the completion date. So from the bottom to up, if you go from the bottom to up, you can aggregate the total cost and time required for the lower level, and thus if you go up, you can as a whole you can aggregate the higher levels, and the total project cost and completion time will be or can be estimated properly. Last one is activity independence. It is important that its activity be independent. Once work has begun on the activity, it can continue reasonably without interruption and without the need of additional input or information until the activity is complete. Though it is possible that an activity could be scheduled during different times based on the resource availability. Point is here is that you can divide your work in scheduled way or in a different time interval depending upon the resource availability. But point is that when one activity starts, it should run independently without requiring any additional input or information until the activity is complete. So there are various approaches to build the WBS. There are many ways to build a WBS. There is no one correct way to create the WBS. Hypothetically, if we put each member of the JPP or joint planning session in a different room and ask the person to develop project WBS, they might all come with different answers. So there are three general approaches to building the WBS, like noun type approaches, verb type approaches, and organizational approaches. So in case of noun type approaches, noun type approaches are defined the deliverable of the project work in terms of the components like physical or functional that make up the deliverable. In case of verb type approaches define the deliverable of the project work in terms of actions that must be done to produce the deliverable. These include the design, build, test, implement, and project objectives approaches. So you can see the difference between noun type and approaches and verb type approaches, because both are in a different way. Noun type approaches define the deliverable and of the project work in terms of the components, in terms of the physical or functional outputs, or you can say deliverable. But in case of verb type approaches, it is based on the actions that need to be carried out as a activity. So verb type approaches defines the deliverable of the project work in terms of actions that must be done to produce the deliverable. So which includes that design, build, test, implement, and the project objective. So it will include those objective of the project also in case of verb type approaches. Third one is organizational approaches. In organizational approaches, define the deliverables of the project in terms of the organizational units that will work on the project. This type of approaches includes the department, process, and geographic location approaches. So in case of organizational approaches, it defines the deliverable project in terms of the organizational units that will work on the projects. So it's like department type. So if you can build the WBS in terms of departmental activity, or in terms of in case of organizational activity, like some part will do by some organization and some part will do by some other units of the organizations, like that. So this type of approaches includes a department, process, and geographic location approaches. So it might be in terms of department or process or geographic location. So there are three different approaches to build the WBS. So here you can see one example, like how we can create the WBS with respect to Gantt chart in Microsoft Project. So this is Microsoft Project One tool, which can be used in case to create WBS and also linked with the Gantt chart. So we have already discussed the Gantt chart, how we can draw the Gantt chart. So this here you can see that this is the concept. Suppose task name is concept. So it will take some time, duration, and the subtask of the concept is evaluate current systems, and other subtask is define requirements. But other subtasks or activity has been again subdivided in four these different types, and those also have some duration will take. So and those things will be inside of this one only, and also you can see the difference of these two one. But here this one is including all these first one. So you can see the difference and how these are connected. This is connected with this one, or this is connected with this one, like that. You can see the arrows here, which we have discussed in case of Gantt chart in the proper video previously. So you can see that how these things has been designed here, and how these things has been connected as with the Gantt chart. So these are nothing but the activities and sub activities and tasks that can be assigned in to design the WBS or work breakdown structure. So this is basically the Gantt chart. Whole thing is Gantt chart, but here you can see this is work breakdown structure. So we'll go to the next slides, next few slides in next video. Try to complete the thing in next video. These slides have lots of information, but I'll try to complete whatever possible in the next one. And I advise you to, or I suggest you to go through all the material of these slides. It is important to understand, because WBS is very important. It's connected with many things. So I'll try to start with this left slides, but I will not complete all the things because it will continue lots of things. You will go through these things whenever you have some free time, like that. So that's it. If you have any confusion or any doubt, or if you want to add anything, then please let me know. So thank you.